Hi, this is Sally's Book Talk, bringing you the best books from around the world every day. Today, we're exploring a book called The Effective Executive, written by Peter Drucker. This book helps managers achieve workplace effectiveness. If you're a knowledge worker, like programmers, engineers, designers, or marketers, this book can help you excel too. Drucker was born in 1909 into an aristocratic Viennese family and moved to America at 28. He consulted for GM, Chrysler, IBM, and taught management at Newark U Business School. In 2002, Drucker received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, America's highest civilian honor. This medal honors exceptional contributors like Audrey Hepburn and Walmart founder Sam Walton. Drucker is known as the master of empirical management. What does this mean? He didn't study management through abstract theories. His books rarely use models or data analysis. His ideas came directly from corporate practices and observations of business society. The Effective Executive originated from Drucker's observation. Knowledge workers were rapidly increasing in developed countries like US and Japan. Factories used to rely on manual workers whose output was easily measurable through simple stats, like counting daily production units, work hours, or product quality checks. But these metrics don't work for knowledge workers. There are two reasons. First, thinking is work. A knowledge worker might appear idle while actually working, like a researcher planning experiments or a marketer strategizing. Are they not working? Second, knowledge workers don't produce tangible outputs like factory workers assembling parts. How do we evaluate the quality of an experiment plan or marketing strategy? It's not immediately obvious. Observing this phenomenon, Drucker proposed a groundbreaking concept. Knowledge workers need self-management, a revolutionary idea. Traditional management is external control, with clear roles between managers and workers, like manual laborers needing supervisors. But self-management shifts control inward, reducing supervisors' influence while empowering knowledge workers. This brings more autonomy, but also challenges. How to ensure effectiveness and self-improvement when companies can't closely monitor you. Addressing this challenge is the book's core mission. The Effective Executive contains about 200,000 Chinese characters. Today, I'll explore two key questions from the book. First, what defines an effective executive? Second, how to achieve effectiveness. Let's start with the first question. What is an effective executive? You might wonder about the term executive. I'm just a professional, a technical expert, a knowledge worker who doesn't manage anyone. Actually, that's not the full picture. Drucker argues knowledge. Workers without subordinates are still executives. Why? As specialists in your field, you make decisions and are accountable for outcomes. In this sense, your work parallels that of managers. So what defines effectiveness? It's not just finishing work faster, completing tasks in 5 hours, while others need overtime. Efficiency differs from effectiveness. Efficiency focuses on task completion, effectiveness on meaningful results. What value does your knowledge create? How does your work contribute to the organization? Consider a marketing specialist creating investment plans 2 weeks early with 5 proposals, efficient but effective. If no investments materialize, they might claim their job was just making proposals. From an effectiveness perspective, this mindset is self-deception. True effectiveness requires establishing new thinking habits. That means prioritizing meaningful contributions. Drucker suggests effective executives constantly ask, what contribution can I make to my organization's performance and outcomes? Contributions have 2 dimensions: creating direct results, like profits, through external clients. A company's survival ultimately depends on profit generation. Every department and employee must focus on these tangible results. Even departments seemingly handling routine tasks should do this. Drucker cites a U.S. commercial bank department handling stock bond registration. Their work involved monotonous daily tasks, maintaining shareholder registries and distributing dividends routinely. While this work was perfectly acceptable, the new manager asked, what greater contribution could we make? They discovered their regular contact with CFOs could be leveraged for cross-selling. Thus, the department expanded its role beyond core functions. They unexpectedly became the bank's most successful sales division. The second dimension, enabling others through your contributions. Drucker said, organizations amplify individual capabilities. When institutionalized, knowledge becomes organizational fuel. This is one of the book's most famous quotes. Let's unpack this profound statement. First, organizations as capability amplifiers. What does this mean? In modern terms, organizational empowerment. The essence of management is empowering knowledge workers. Second, institutionalized knowledge becomes organizational momentum, meaning your outputs should multiply others' effectiveness to synergistically create tangible outcomes. You can empower subordinates, superiors, and colleagues alike. Drucker emphasizes that collaborative contributions make empowering colleagues most crucial. A key obstacle: colleagues might not understand your work. Even within the same team, they might not know your capabilities. The solution: treat colleagues as internal clients through proactive communication. Share your strengths and understand their needs to enhance mutual contributions. Drucker identifies 2 communication types: readers and listeners. For readers, verbal explanations alone are ineffective. Provide written materials when communicating with readers. They need to read first before comprehending. Listeners, conversely, require verbal interaction over written reports. Only through discussion can listeners grasp key points. Face-to-face meetings work best for listeners. Let's recap what defines an effective executive. While including managers, it mainly refers to knowledge workers transforming insights into organizational contributions. Now, to our second question, how to achieve effectiveness. We'll examine 3 crucial self-management habits. First habit: prioritize vital tasks. Focus on critical matters first, tackling them one at a time. Drucker reveals effectiveness requires concentrated focus, time being our scarcest resource. As the proverb says, time is gold, but gold can't buy time. I made time to most A to work. How to implement priority management. Drucker offers 3 strategies. First, evaluate each task's current value. Does it contribute to organizational outcomes? If not, discontinue it immediately. Have candid discussions with supervisors to eliminate non-value work. Second, innovation stands as the most crucial task for knowledge workers. Their primary focus should be innovation and transformation, generating new ideas, insights, and discovering new opportunities. Drucker strongly emphasized innovation, authoring Innovation and Entrepreneurship dedicated to this subject. We've previously covered this book in our program, so we won't elaborate here. Third, when initiating new ventures, immediately discontinue an existing one. New initiatives usually offer greater contributions through innovation and should take priority. Maintaining existing operations while starting new ones risks compromising both. Why does prioritization require single tasking? Essentially, because meaningful work demands uninterrupted time blocks. Insufficient time. Investment leads to wasted effort and repetition. Imagine writing a report in 15-minute fragments over 2 weeks. Even with 5 total hours, you'd likely achieve little progress. But dedicating 5 continuous hours could produce a complete draft. Critical tasks require protected time blocks free from distractions. GM's legendary CEO Alfred Sloan dedicated hours solely for personnel decisions. Bill Gates' famous Think Week offers another example. Since 1992, Gates secluded himself annually in the Pacific Northwest for strategic contemplation. He paused daily operations to focus entirely on Microsoft's direction. Writers like Shelley sought isolation in forests for creative work. Jack London rowed aboard ships to secure uninterrupted creative time. Most knowledge workers can't isolate themselves like these pioneers. To secure uninterrupted time blocks, we must consolidate fragmented discretionary time. Drucker suggests 2 methods. First, compress routine tasks into 2 weekly days. For example, schedule meetings on Monday, Tuesday, reserving Wednesday, Friday mornings for critical work. He describes an executive who confined routine work to Mondays and Fridays. Tuesday, Thursday afternoons remained flexible, while mornings were strictly protected. These dedicated morning blocks fueled his transformation of a small firm into multinational. Drucker notes he achieved triple-term results within single tenure. The second method requires greater discipline. Another executive conducted 90-minute research sessions before work, demanding early rising. Contrasting modern habits of tar-night work sessions. Drucker criticizes overtime culture for enabling daytime procrastination. He warns against developing dependency on extended evening hours. The Chinese proverb, morning hours, determine the day highlights peak mental freshness. Undisturbed, morning hours offer ideal conditions for critical thinking. This approach warrants personal experimentation. Recognizing time's paramount importance leads us to our second habit, time management. Psychological studies confirm human time perception's unreliability. Darkroom experiments demonstrate rapid time sense disorientation. Subjects misjudge durations drastically without external cues. Even with lighting, accurate time estimation remains challenging. This basic the necessity of structured time management systems. Some knowledge workers believe they remember exactly how they spend their time. They think they clearly track time allocation. This is an illusion. Drucker conducted a time study with a company chairman. The chairman claimed dividing time equally between staff discussions, client meetings, and social activities. Drucker proposed verifying through actual recording. For 6 weeks, secretaries tracked his work hours. The results shocked him. Minimal time spent on claimed priorities. Records showed most time consumed by operational coordination, like order management. Subsequent verifications proved his self-perception inaccurate. This revelation highlights our flawed time perception. Drucker lamented humanity's careless use of finite time resources. Without understanding time expenditure, effectiveness remains impossible. Thus, Drucker proposed his 3-step time management method. Step 1. Log actual time usage immediately after each task. Track continuously for 3-4 weeks without relying on memory. Human memory deceives. Relay recording is crucial. Immediate logging enables meaningful self-analysis. Drucker guarantees recorded data will reveal time mismanagement. Step 2. Ruthlessly eliminate non-contributory tasks. Knowledge workers must focus on contribution-driven work. Reject any tasks lacking internal, external organizational value. Some busy individuals overestimate their indispensability, clinging to unnecessary commitments. Actually skipping many events won't cause significant issues. During Drucker's consulting years, he encountered a CEO attending daily social events except Christmas, New Year's. Knowing many gatherings were unproductive, he still attended until exhausted, neglecting crucial work. Later, realizing hosts didn't genuinely want his attendance, invitations were mere formalities. His consistent presence actually complicated event planning for others. Maintaining contribution-focused perspective prevents such awkward situations. Step 3. Address systemic flaws. Some time wasters stem from organizational defects. Recurring inefficiencies revealed through time logs demand process examinations. Example: a company's recurring inventory crises, consuming multiple departments' time. These firefighting activities indicate flawed order management systems. Why not solve root causes rather than repeating crises? Time logs can reveal systemic issues driving organizational reform. Implementing these 3 steps eliminates inefficiencies, focusing on value creation. Third, self-management habit. Effective decision-making. As discussed earlier, knowledge workers qualify as executives through specialized decisions. Decisions determine effectiveness by aligning actions with organizational contributions. Only correct decisions yield meaningful results. Effective decisions require dual mechanisms. First, hypothesis validation, contrary to conventional fact-collecting first approaches. Drucker challenged traditional decision-making models, emphasizing initial fact accumulation. Knowledge workers are domain professionals who naturally form opinions about decisions. Given these preconceptions, fact collecting becomes biased. You'll always find supporting evidence. Drucker advises knowledge workers to acknowledge their preconceptions openly. The rigorous approach treats opinions as hypotheses requiring validation. Validate them through data and evidence. If evidence disproves hypotheses, formulate new ones. This scientific approach requires clear validation criteria. Identify measurable indicators supporting your hypothesis. Example: when considering acquisitions, initial positive assumptions need verification. Establish metrics like valuation, ROI, periods for hypothesis testing. Drucker recommends multiple validation metrics to prevent bias. Second mechanism: develop multiple alternatives with opposing views for balanced decisions. Seeking dissent sparks creativity and overcomes cognitive limitations. Personal experiences and biases create inherent cognitive constraints. Opposing perspectives reveal alternative problem angles. Proactively solicit dissent from colleagues at all levels. This process also generates contingency plans. Single-option decisions equate to gambling, Drucker cautioned. What if the decision fails? How to adapt when circumstances change post-decision. Contingency plans provide flexibility, single options, force last stands. Drucker cites President Roosevelt's New Deal as exemplar. The 1930s New Deal addressed America's unprecedented economic crisis. Roosevelt's Keynesian policies pulled America from depression's brink. You might not know this economic policy wasn't improvised post-election, but existed as alternative proposals during his campaign. After taking office, Roosevelt quickly found campaign-era plans unworkable and pivoted to alternatives. These alternatives ultimately saved both Roosevelt's presidency and America's economy. In his second term, overconfident about congressional control, Roosevelt attempted Supreme Court restructuring. Unexpectedly, his plan met fierce congressional opposition. Without alternative plans, the initiative failed conclusively. Had dissent warned about congressional resistance, Roosevelt might have prepared contingency strategies. This concludes our discussion on effective decision-making. Drucker advises knowledge workers to systematically train decision-making skills for enhanced effectiveness and career progression. In today's knowledge economy, self-management becomes critical as companies transition from external control to empowerment models. Implement Drucker's principles, contribution focus, prioritization, and time management to excel as knowledge professionals. That concludes our exploration of the effective executive. Find key summaries below. Until next time.